Hi, this is Tracy, and welcome to the Woman Within You podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I just want to say thank you all for your support. I'm reading your comments, your messages. I'm seeing your ratings on Apple. I am seeing your inboxes on Facebook about the podcast and the topics. I want to hear from you. So keep that up. Keep continuing to comment. Keep continuing to share your stories and how you've been impacted by this podcast. Well, so today I was supposed to have a special guest, but unfortunately she was unable to make it, but that's okay. We will get her next week. She will be Confessions of a Teen Mom Part 3. So today I kind of wanted to just talk to you about my experiences as a teen mom. Last week I shared with you that I got pregnant as a teen and I had my son at 20, and how I remained on campus and how it was my goal to graduate with my class. So today I want to just talk to you a little bit about some of the struggles that we kind of don't talk about when we're a teen mom. One of the biggest issues for me was that I felt like my childhood was cut short because we kind of had to grow up together. And it's not to say that I feel like I missed out. I just feel like I grew up fast. And I've always been kind of like an old soul or like an old spirit. But I feel like there were things that my other friends or other people my age experienced that I did not get to experience. And as I age, as I think about what happened and how everything happened, which we'll get to that story in Confessions of a Teen Mom 3, I think about all of the things that I could have missed out on. But I also think about all of the positive things that happened in my life. One of the things that came up after I had my son was he needed health insurance. And let me tell you something. It was a blank stare for me because I had always been on my mother's insurance, and I remember him getting sick. I think he was just under 1 month old, and he had gotten sick, and he went to the doctor and they asked me for his insurance card. And I was just like, well, I don't have insurance. And I remember the look on her face when I said that I didn't have any insurance. And luckily my mother was with me, and she said, okay, he's on my insurance for the first 30 days of life. I didn't know that. So those are those things that you have to think about when you're about to have a baby, the fact that you need health insurance, especially here in America. So in any event, so here I am with a sick child, and, he was only covered under my mother's insurance for another few days. It's like, what was I supposed to do? I didn't work a job that offered me insurance. I was only part-time. And on top of that, I was on maternity leave. So I didn't even know where to begin. And, I really do believe that you meet people that come in your life and that really just kind of help you along the way, maybe not directly, but kind of like indirectly. And I just happened to know a guy who said to me, oh, I can help you get some insurance for your son. And he started to tell me about the Husky program. So the Husky program is what Connecticut calls Medicaid. Now, I perceived Medicaid as a welfare. So I wanted nothing to do with it. But you know what? I knew that my child was sick. I knew that I needed insurance, and I knew that the $5.50 per hour I was making wasn't going to cut it for medical bills. So I filled out an application for Husky, and I remember mailing it in, and I hadn't heard anything. And, he had continuously kept getting sick, and I was starting to receive medical bills. And then this guy said to me, well, did you fill out the application correctly? And it never dawned on me. I just answered the questions. I signed it and I sent it in. I didn't know that you needed to provide verifications. I did not know that there was a process for this. And eventually I did end up getting the insurance for him. And he was on Husky until I was able to get a full-time job. Maybe like a year later, I had gotten a full-time job because I ended up graduating from college and was blessed enough to go right into my career. But those are the things that no one really talks about. It's like my mother didn't know anything about that because she had been working all of her life, and she didn't know that we could even qualify. She thought our income was counting. She didn't know the requirements. She didn't even know where to begin to, help me apply for that. So I was grateful for that guy that helped me obtain insurance for my son. But see, those are the type of things that no one even thinks about. When you're talking to your kids now, I try to make sure that I tell them about the importance of, everyday life and things that you need to survive. For example, health insurance, car insurance. I even did a mock simulation based on the career that my son wants. And I said, okay, let's Google the career that you want and let's see what the starting salary is. And then I pulled up, an apartment guide and I said, now find the apartment that you want. And of course, the career he chose, he couldn't afford the apartment that he wanted. So it's just like, it's all about those life lessons. And I continued to live with my mother through my college until I was able to graduate. And then I eventually moved out on my own, which for me was a culture shock. Not because I couldn't take care of myself, because I definitely could, but because I realized, oh crap, now I got to pay a light bill. Oh, now I got to buy groceries. Now I've moved further out. So now gas is going to be a factor. So all of those things definitely played a part. And I was like 21 years old and I was so gung-ho about moving out. And my mom was saying to me, well, why don't you stay a little bit longer? And I was just so eager to move out. I probably should have stayed home a little bit longer. Aside from being a single mom now in this new place with I think he was either almost 2 or he was just 2 when we moved out for the first time. And us being alone, we definitely bonded a lot. I remember the building that I lived in, it was 4 apartments in one building, and then it had like a little balcony, and then I would park my car in the back and we would have to walk up the stairs. And he was always just so helpful. Mommy, I got it. He would help with groceries. And, I taught him how to make his bed and we read every night. And it was just like a lot of bonding that we had. But I felt so alone. I didn't have a boyfriend. I didn't have that many friends because once you have a baby and you're like 20 years old or 21 years old, people don't want to hang with you because they want to party, they want to club. They're just in a different place in their life. So I had to start to meet mom friends and, we have similar interests and we could have play dates and we can do different things. And I was blessed enough to meet someone who was also a mother. Actually, I knew her from before, but she was also a mother. And it's like, we kind of just took care of each other, We were both single moms and, we had our children and, we would shop together and we would play together. And it was just like, you needed that support system. And at the time, she was my support system. We were both each other's support system, really, because we were just all alone. And yeah, it's not to say that we didn't have a babysitter and that we couldn't have gone out, did those things. But I think that once you become a mother, your thought process changes. So I didn't really want to go out and party like that. Like I wanted to be home. I've always kind of been a homebody, but I really wanted to be home with my son. I didn't want to leave him with anybody. I was very, very cautious of him staying with people besides my mother and his grandmother. I just wanted to be with him. I wanted to play with him. I wanted to see him grow. He was super smart. He used to love Thomas the Train. And so I swear we would just sit and we would watch episodes of Thomas the Train. We would read together. We would write. We would just have a good time, me and him. And the thing about it is, I feel like that closeness is what I needed. And I feel like maybe if I didn't have him, my life probably would have took a different turn. I actually only stayed in Connecticut because I was dating a guy. And I remember him not going to school and me not wanting to leave him. And so that's why I ended up staying here in Connecticut and not going off to school because I was scheduled to go off to school to Virginia. And a week before it was time for me to go, I told my mother I wasn't going, and I was able to get into a school here in Connecticut because that was my second choice. All in all, I stayed here for a guy that I'm not even with to this day. And the thing about it is, you can't put your life on hold for somebody because things happen and nothing is guaranteed. I believe that your steps are ordered. I believe that your path is paved for you and you're just walking in it. And I believe that your story is a testimony and that you should share your story with other people because you never know what other people are going through. And maybe your strength, maybe your tenacity, maybe your perseverance can end up helping that person. And I truly, truly believe that. And I believe that me being a teen mom, I'm able to then speak to other teens. I was then able to speak to other people that had babies, even if they were a little bit later. I had that experience. And now my son is like one of the oldest kids amongst a group of a group of people that I know that have children because I had him so young. But at the same time, we grew up together, and I'm going to be able to still be young and free once he's off to college in a couple years. And I think that for me, it's almost like, even though I have other children, I just wanted him to turn out right, because I knew that I was raising him on my own, and I knew that I had something to prove to myself. And so I always wanted him to be super smart, and I always made sure that he went to the best schools, and I always made sure to keep myself involved. And the looks, the stares, whatever people would give me, I was always there for my baby. I was always there to make sure that he played sports and that he did things that he was interested in, and that he always looked good and he spoke well and he was well-mannered. That was like my biggest task. And because, there's this stigma or this stereotype that teen moms and single moms and, your kids are criminals and stuff like that. And I know that there's research to back that up. But at the same time, it's like, it doesn't have to be that way, right? I know you have circumstances, and I know that sometimes your environment plays a factor. And so that's why I'm grateful for my mother for keeping me in a good environment and not putting me out the house when I told her that I was pregnant. I mean, yes, our relationship was terrible. It was rocky. It was rough. But at the same time, she never said to me, you have to get out. And I think that that was helpful too. And also keeping us grounded. For me, being a teen mom wasn't the end all be all. It's just a small piece of my story, just a chapter in a book. And my baby, my son, he's a wonderful person. And me raising him so young, I got to see that. I got to see the fruits of my labor. And I'm seeing it now more now that he's becoming a young man, a young adult. And I'm just grateful and thankful. And I think that, yes, I might have felt that I missed out on something, but the reality is I didn't. I was right where I needed to be. And that's a mother, a teen mom. All right, so let's get to our affirmation of the week. So the affirmation of the week will be on the website, www.thewomanwithinyou.com. And it is as follows. I believe in myself. I am powerful. I can do great things. I can overcome any hardship. I am unstoppable. So I will repeat it again. I believe in myself. I am powerful. I can do great things. I can never overcome any hardships, and I am unstoppable. So that will be on the website. So next week we will have a special guest. It's going to be interesting. This conversation is going to be interesting. And that'll be Teen Moms, Confessions of a Teen Mom, Part 3. So I thank you so much for listening. And remember, you are strong, you are fearless, but most of all, you are beautiful. Thank you so much.